Hi guys, this is Fahim Salam. I work with a lot of D2C companies, direct to consumer brands in setting up their supply chain strategies all the way from order management to inventory to shipping and warehousing and fulfillment and so on. In this episode, I'm going to be the CEO of a hypothetical industrial goods marketplace, which is essentially a marketplace for power tools. And I'm going to walk you through a mind map of why I'm doing this. What are some of the disclaimers? What is my unfair advantage, or what is the unfair advantage that I should have? And what should be my KPIs for a profitable growth? Now, let's walk into why would I be doing this? Because in this hypothetical situation, industrial goods marketplace, it's an area that is very high in demand. The demand is already there, but no one really owns the space because it's very broken and it is absolutely difficult to do if you don't have the right strategy. Now, number three is you could potentially build $100 million company just by being the most trusted source for quality items and quality goods. Number four is that the revenue of $100 million a year is actually very achievable. And in a country like Bangladesh that has over 500,000 factories, farms, workshops, and contractors, that's just 100,000 of them. That's just 20% of them. They need to buy goods worth of $1,000 worth a year. And that's basically $100 million in sales, right? So the numbers kind of make sense here. It's just that again it's hypothetical, right? I do have to do a checkup on the numbers. I did pull these numbers out of a chat gpt and grok, and I had to verify with claude and so on. But now let's move on to a disclaimer. Now, what are some of the things that I need to be really really aware of, and based on that awareness, how I'm going to build my strategy. Number one, industrial goods are very heavy items. They are not easy to store. They are not easy to carry. They are not regular e commerce items. Therefore, you cannot carry inventory at first. You have to create a way to sell other people's inventory. Building a brand is difficult because there are well established brands out there like Makita, Bosch, Komatsu, Milwaukee, Makino. These are very well established brands. And so, what you need to do is instead of building a brand out there and trying to work with manufacturers from China or other manufacturing countries, it's easier to build a marketplace, and it opens up the avenue where all you have to do is have really good knowledge about the products, assess the demand, and start to sell them, right? Now, number four, if you want to grow profitably, you have to know it's a long term play. These are not viral products. These will never be viral products. These are very essential products that essentially lift up your whole ecosystem, roads, buildings, houses, apartments, whatever. They all need these kind of tools, construction tools, power tools, but they're not viral. So number five, product quality has to be top notch because these goods are being used to construct buildings, bridges, pipelines, and so on. So it's a big responsibility that you are known to sell really good products, and your products must meet all generally accepted safety standards. Very, very important, right? Now, in this scenario where, I'm building this company, what could be my and what should be my unfair advantage for me to kind of stand out from the crowd? I need to have a very strong supplier network. I need to have direct access to high quality local international manufacturers with favorable prices and exclusive rights. I also need to have some level of understanding on how I'm going to be doing the logistics and fulfillment, in house and partner logistics infrastructure for fast, reliable delivery for heavy industrial goods. This is debatable, but I'm gonna tell you right now that this is going to be difficult. So what I'm gonna do at first, at least for the first 6 months, is sell other people's inventory where they're already stored, and I have built some sort of reputation, and they have built some sort of a reputation of handling their goods well and delivering it well. Now, number three is that I need to have very deep product knowledge and industry knowledge. Of course, that goes without saying. How are you going to sell if you don't know what you're selling? Four, relationships with procurement officers, factory owners, contractors. These are things that you must have. There is no questions about it, whether you're selling industrial goods or even any other products, right? You do need to understand a little bit about this and how you can connect, suppliers and other merchants to a marketplace. But before all that, you need to understand what you're selling, how you're going to sell them, and essentially how tech is going to scale it for you. Now, let's move on to my KPIs. I'm the CEO of this power tools company. It's going to be my KPI. Sorry. My top five KPIs is going to be that I am going to set a target of 500 to 1,000 items by month six. And this is going to be daily, right? Again, it's a marketplace, so you need to have a very strong outreach approach, right? And why you got to do that? Because this is what really validates real market demand, not the ones that you cannot measure, but the ones that you can measure, because it's coming through your platform, right? And your order volumes are growing from 20-25%. That means you're gaining momentum in some ways. Your average order volume and order value is actually increasing over time. You must make sure that whoever you're working with, the things are getting out of the inventory and into the hands of the customer within 48 hours. Customer retention, very, very important, that there has to be 30 to 40% in 60 within 60 days. Now, that being said, these are power tools. These are not very, it's not like cookies, right? You're not going to be buying them just because you like them. So you need to be very picky on the products you select as well. And I'm gonna walk you through, but before that, I just want to I want to tell you something. It's very important. Your sourcing inventory has to be very strong, and when you're building a marketplace, you need to understand these are the areas that you need to really be very good at sourcing. Okay, if you're in Bangladesh, you need to source in places like Nawabpur, Chowk Bazaar, Tezgaon industrial area. That's where these guys sell those items, right? If we're in Pakistan, there's Sher Shakabari Market, there's Badami Bagh Market, then there's Lohar Chawl in India, Baghira Palace in India. If you're in Egypt, it's El Sabtiya Market. These are markets that there's a lot of retailers and importers who are selling heavy industrial items. If you're obviously in Dubai, there's Dera Dubai, there's Russell Khor Industrial Area. In Nigeria, there's Alaba International Market, Onitsha Shamid Market, Apapa Industrial Goods. The reason, by the way, why I picked these countries is because I know how broken the supply chain of these countries are. There's probably very good reasons for it, but there's also a very good reason for you to set up in these markets, because assuming I understand so much and I'm so knowledgeable, I should go after the markets that need it most, right? Because that's what knowledge should do, is that you need to target tougher markets and tougher problems, because that's essentially where your unique proposition is going to be, and your uniqueness and your moat, because no one else is going to be targeting those tougher markets, right? And here's what's most important, is that you need to pick the items that have a very high purchase rate. Say, for example, in power tool accessories, not just the power tools, not the drill machines, but the drill bits, the cutting discs, the grinding wheels, the batteries. These are things that have a very high repeat rate, right? People buy them more than once. Then it's just like the same example as printers are bought once, but people actually make money on the ink cartridges, right? So same way, you need to have a very strong supply chain of all these kind of items, because that's why your customers are going to keep coming back to your marketplace to build stuff, right? The items, cables, switches, breakers, fuses, bolts, nuts, screws, lubricants, bearings, seals, hoses, and gauges, and electrodes, and so on. I'm not going to go into everything, because that's going to take me 2 hours, but you get the point. Now, let's get straight to the strategy. Profitable growth. What's the first thing that I'm going to do? I'm going to set a foundation that I am not just a marketplace or tools vendor. I am the authority brand for very high performance industrial equipment. And I'm going to own some categories, because if you don't own a category, you don't stand for anything. So people must know you from these three areas. Like you want to pick a niche, which is construction, manufacturing, and power tools. These are the three categories that you must own, and that's what I would do, right? Product and supplier. So I'm gonna have a super product focused approach. What are the products I'm gonna select? I already told you that, but I'm gonna the top 1% quality SKUs in every category. Filter out anything that doesn't meet industrial grade reliability. And because again, it's e-commerce, it's marketplace, you're online, but you also got to focus. Why? Because people need to know you're best at something. You cannot be everything. And number two is that I need to develop a localized product documentation. Whichever country you're in, you need to make sure that you do product demos and documentation and manuals in that specific language. This is extremely important because that's what you're going to use for content, for marketing, and those are going to be things that you don't need to pay ads for. People just automatically relate. They're going to love you for it because you're showing that you care for them, you want them to understand, and that's why you're doing it in their language, right? That's going to be my product supplier approach. And then obviously I'm going to build a very strong network of suppliers, and I'm going to build a very strong relationship with them in those specific areas, right? Why? Because they need to consistently keep supplying to me. My go to market strategy would be that I online. How do I, basically it's going to be entirely that I want to, this is the market that I want to own, and it's going to be entirely online. So anything that is offline, that is not going to be part of this strategy, this marketplace. And so what's going to happen is that you're going to have a ton of people who are going to be in these marketplaces. They're going to understand the products, they're going to understand the suppliers, and what they're going to be doing is that they're going to request them that, hey, I'm going to enlist them on my platform, my marketplace. You need to please give me 10, 20 pieces of it, allocate them for my marketplace. Please don't sell them because we're going to buy that inventory from you. Okay, what about customer service and retention? Be very service driven. This is not a normal e-commerce brand. Anything that you're doing in this part of the industry, it's a very boring industry. But people really remember you because they only call you when they need you, and when they need you, if you're there for them and if you have delivered this kind of service, they will remember you. That's going to be your basically your biggest marketing number. Second thing is you make sure you build some level of community around your brand on Facebook pages, on Instagram, and that's essentially going to come down to content, and I'm going to explain that in a little bit. Everything happens through your growth, happens through a marketing plan. How are you going to do that? That's going to be performance marketing, B2B targeting via Facebook and LinkedIn, decision makers at factories, site engineers, procurement heads. Search for ads on the competitors, on Facebook ad marketplace, and understand the keywords, and understand the views of the ads and the performance of those ads around these keywords. When you type in these keywords, what kind of ads do you see? What's the performance of these ads, right? So once you do that, make a note of that and make sure you are learning to copy those ones, because that's essentially what's going to make you stand out, because those things are working, right? Facebook has already done that. Now, content marketing. Be extremely aggressive about content. This is the only way you're going to stand out. Why? Because in this day and age, any boring business can be made sexy, can be made more visible just by being out there in the open on social channels. So make sure you don't shy away from filming testimonials. Make sure you do not shy away from creating how to use videos on every product that you have. Make sure you tell the features of it. Just make content, period. Video is king. Make sure you know this by heart. Video is king. Use testimonials from plant managers, site tests, real use case demos, and obviously case studies. Whenever customers buy them, make sure you have a team set up so that you can go and essentially talk to them about how they love their product, and make it very easy for them to leave a review on your website, on your marketplace. Now, offline marketing, a big thing in this kind of industries, because people like to talk. Put up posters of your marketplace on roadside tea stalls, because that's where majority of the guys who use these tools, they go for a little hangout session, a little chat session with their buddies, and they see your posters of your marketplace, and they're going to talk to their buddies. Some of them is going to be a senior manager's going to talk to the boss, and there you go, you have a sale right there, right? Make sure you have a large your phone number there, and your website address. Very important. And print flyers. The second thing is print flyers and brochures with your color scheme. Make sure it doesn't look corny, because you're talking to industry experts with your brand, right? The color scheme must match industrial color scheme, like, for example, yellow and black, those are like construction type of, do not enter kind of color. So pick something, I mean, that's just a suggestion. Pick something that reflects the industry. Give your phone number, very important, loud and bold, like, like very big font, and your website. Now, what are some of the trust builders? Here's something that I think initially it might not work, but I tried to put it anyways, that when it's a bigger purchase, right? And I've seen very good companies do this, and they've done very well for themselves over time, is that they made it easy to buy with partnerships from banks. And that is something that I think might be challenging in the early stages, at least for the first 6 months, because I don't have any traction. But I decided to keep it because over time this is going to give me a lot more credibility. And make sure you have the ISO certifications and real reviews of the products listed on your platform. Now, scaling. How do you really scale your sales? The only way you're going to do it is by having a very strong offline sales force. Build a team of 10 people, of B2B salespeople. They're going to go across, they're obviously well dressed enough, presentable enough to talk to. This is something I'm building for Bangladesh. So, say for example, these guys are going to talk to every company or every construction company within Dhaka, Chattogram, Narayanganj, and Kumilla. So keep reaching out to procurement heads for construction companies, building developers, and so on. Offer digital procurement portals for companies. So just give them a free login dashboard. They're like, hey, you want something? Just place an order here. It doesn't have to be anything. They just have to log in with their phone number, and that's it. And they want some drill bit. They want some, what do you say, drill machines, or tapes or boxes or whatever. They can just place an order there. It's just a free portal. It just to get them used to it. They don't even need to what do you say, they don't even need to go to your platform or your e-commerce website at first, because that might be very daunting for some people in this industry. So you just want to make sure that you break the ice with these guys, just so that they're more used to working with you. That's it, working with your company. They don't need to know it's a brand or a marketplace. But that is something that has, over time in this industry, repeatedly I've seen that has converted even the most backwards of non-tech enabled industries. Is just making sure that these guys are very easy. Ask them for a WhatsApp number, whatever, WhatsApp number, SMS. You need something, let me know. Phone number, whatever. So once you get those people who are kind of born, I would say a majority of them who are don't use technology, they're usually born in the 60s or 70s. And I mean, that's just my observation, right? And because they don't like to use that, and but they don't have, like, they just need to love your brand. That's it. And that comes down to good accessibility and essentially and good customer service. Now, number two is strong field service network. Hire and train 10 plus to start with field agents and technicians. Every time there's a problem, you just go and solve it. Like, that is where my investment money is going to go. That is technically marketing, is that every time someone has a problem, I'm able to answer them. I'm sending my technicians with my labels on them, my t-shirts or whatever, and they're seeing my brand. They're seeing a happy agent and a technician coming there, solving it, wishing them that they're wishing them that they have a great day and everything. And that builds loyalty, that builds goodwill with your brand. Category expansion, build and this is something that, again, I don't think I'm gonna do it, but I just kept it because this is a standard marketplace rule, where you build bundles, like you give three pieces of drill bits or whatever together, just because they're using it. This is something that you potentially could do, and kits, like print kits or whatever. Now, the other thing is, when I'm scaling this, I might need some additional support. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start bidding on government projects, because government have tenders to build factories, to build ports, new infrastructure, whatever. I'm gonna bid them, and the reason being, these projects are very lucrative, and they ensure a very steady cash flow, and also it gives you very a strong leverage to essentially make sure that your brand is out there, right? So number one is cash flow. This thing will give me, government projects will give me cash flow, and it'll give me recognition and visibility, which is going to be very critical in the early days. This is not e-commerce, but again, this is the point, right? This is not e-commerce, but it gives you added leverage. So this is what I would be essentially doing in the first 6 months, and that is going to essentially, hopefully, set me up in a good scale trajectory for profitable growth. Hope you liked it. If you do like it, please thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with more. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.